Welcome to our final Dream Job conversation of the 2023-2024 academic year, everybody. My name is Danny Rubin. I'm the founder of Rubin, based in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and we provide online resources to help with business communication skills. And one way we teach and discuss business etiquette and professionalism is through conversations with professionals in in-demand fields. And one of those fields, forensics, it was requested many times by teachers around the country. So here we are with our special guest, Mary DeLugo from the Suffolk, Virginia Police Department. And Mary, we'll bring you in just a moment to dive into our conversation. So hang tight, don't go anywhere. And before we jump in, I want to share a couple of news and notes for the group, for the teachers. One, this is our last Dream Job session of the academic year. We hope to do some professional development webinars in the summertime, so look out for dates and times on that. And then we intend to resume our Dream Job series in the new school year in September. So we appreciate everybody who's been here all year, had great conversations and great attendance, and we want to keep it going next school year. Now, one thing I want to share that I've been mentioning in our webinars this spring is our newest resource, which is called Aspire. Teachers who are here, raise your hand if you would like to have a library of short videos with professionals at your fingertips, just like today. Would you like to have more conversations like this right at your fingertips? So what we have developed as an extension of our webinars is called Aspire, and it's a huge library of over 250 clips, video clips, based off of the longer webinars we've done. Take a look, everybody. Teachers, please look at my screen and look at the variety of jobs inside of the Aspire resource bank across different pathways: health science, STEM and education, hospitality, entertainment. We have 70 jobs now, over 70 jobs that we've spoken to. And if you would like these resources, these videos, these are short clips from these longer conversations to make it really easy. It's all available in a website. Or can you put, teachers, can you please put in the chat, what is your learning management system? Are you on Canvas, Schoology, Google Classroom, Brightspace? What do you on? Put in the chat. And by the way, Myron, right now, there is no fee for this resource. That's why I'm showing it to you. Teams, Google Classroom, Canvas, Google Classroom, Schoology. Okay, this is available in through any LMS. One quick example, just to help you understand, is through Canvas. It would look the same in Schoology or Google Classroom, where all of our jobs are posted, and all you have to do is one click, and it'll bring you right into the page to listen to the conversations along with discussion questions, worksheets. Everything you need to teach and listen to these jobs is available. And right now, through the end of the year, really through the middle of the summer, you can have this resource at no cost. We want you to use it, try it, give us feedback. So if you would like to try Aspire and just have a ton of videos to watch before the end of the school year, all you need to do, I'll put this in the chat, is reach out to us. Okay, this link is important. Everybody who's interested in Aspire, grab that link right now. It's a Calendly page. Just book a meeting with us, and we will give you Aspire. No catch, no nothing. We just want you to have it. We want the feedback. We want to know what jobs you like and which jobs you'd like to see in the future. So book a meeting with us on your schedule over the next several days. Sooner the better, and we'll give you Aspire. All right, I'll mention that again at the very end. Now, with that, let's bring in our special guest, Mary. Thank you very much for taking time from your day, from your work day. Start off by telling us your job title and the general job description, and we'll go from there.
I'm a forensic unit supervisor with the Suffolk Police Department. I was currently a forensic technician, recently promoted in, but I've been with Suffolk for quite a while yet now. I've been doing forensics for almost 15 years. So I've seen it evolve very differently over the past 5 years. It's been the most dramatic change, I'd have to say, with it.
Is that because of COVID?
Yes,
Okay, well,
absolutely.
let's get into that. We'll come back to that because there's probably a whole lot to unpack there. As we get into the conversation, I want to encourage the teachers and students locate the Q&A button along the bottom of the screen, and I want you to start submitting your questions. When you submit your question, please include your name and your school so we can give you proper credit. Okay, name and school. All right, so Mary, I told you I wanted to start off because when you say you're in forensics, people immediately say, "Oh, crime scene investigators. Oh, CSI. Oh, I've seen that show." Or is it like what I've seen in Hollywood? Or and so I had this little clip pulled up. I'll share with the group to because the way that it's presented, the job is presented on TV. It looks very glamorous, very risque, dangerous. Let me play this for just a few seconds.
Distillery next to a fruit stand? I almost hope it's a coincidence.
So, right here and here, the shades on and looking dramatically at the crime scene. And so let compare the show like this to your job. What did your job look like sort of day in, day out?
Well, I do get to wear sunglasses, not going to
Okay.
lie. I have trouble, as light-eyed people have trouble seeing outside,
All
so
right.
it's okay sometimes. But a lot of times when we get to scenes that it's roped off, there's so many cars and tons of people, so we don't have like a desert scene like that one
Right.
was. But it's a lot of go. It's very quick, very as soon as you get on scene, you have people running up to you telling you what happened or what they think happened or what witnesses say and things like that. So as soon as you arrive, there's so much information being thrown at you that you have to kind of decipher and figure out what is forensically relevant and what is just for the investigators to do. So us in Suffolk, we're not sworn, so we don't wear guns. So we are protected by the people that are sworn. We are more scientists than police officers,
Okay.
is what I kind of tell everybody.
Okay. So that is the first thing I want to understand, and you got to it a little bit, is what are you like at a crime scene, right? Say it was a break-in, something maybe non-violent, but just a break-in or something. Like, what are you doing there versus the police or FBI or other agencies? Like, what are your duties?
So our duties are to document the scene. So we are the people who kind of help write the book per se. So we go and we take pictures and we take notes and we document everything about the scene so that way we can recreate it if we had to, or to show the jurors when we go to court what exactly they're looking at. So everything we see, we have to make sure that we portray it to everyone else when we're showing it. So everything's kind of like a presentation. So court is a giant presentation that you do. So we take the pictures, we collect the evidence, and we bring it back. Here in Suffolk, we do a whole lot more than just the crime scene work. But
Like
for
what? Like what?
we do digital here. So our CSIs, we do phone imaging, we do something called NIBIN. I'm not sure how much people are familiar with firearms. In relation to firearms, we have fingerprint examiners here that are also crime scene workers. So we'll process a crime scene and then still take everybody's latents and kind of compare to find who they belong to.
What does
Um,
latents mean?
they're hidden fingerprints, so they need to be chemically processed. They need to be processed some sort of way to be seen by the naked eye. So if you look at the desk in front of you, there could be a whole bunch of fingerprints on it, but you don't necessarily see it. But when I have processes, a lot of times it would just be black powder on a desk in front of you, but when we process it and it pulls up the image and then we can see it to collect it. So latent means hidden.
Ah, okay. So you approach the crime scene and your job is to document, to create a presentation that could be used in court.
Yes.
Okay. And what type of, like, how much time, I guess it depends on the crime, but how much time are you spending at the crime scene versus preparing that presentation? Like, what's that split? Is it like 25% on the scene, 75%, back at the station kind of working it out?
It definitely depends on what the crime is and how much extra evidence we have that we bring back. So, a normal, just not a normal, but a breaking and entering, where it's a lot of just processing on the scene, we would take more time on the scene versus the back end stuff of it.
Okay. Okay. We have a lot of questions. So let me start there. Miss Burdett's class, Covington Middle School. Where did you go to college? Did you go to college? Or how much training or education did you receive?
So I know in Hampton Roads, I can't speak for everywhere. They all have a little bit different, but we are required to have bachelor's degrees. So
Okay.
I went to Ferrum College in Virginia,
Okay.
received my bachelor's degree in criminal justice because I've been doing this for a while, and forensics it wasn't a major. It wasn't a major like it was back then. It was just criminal justice with I have a minor in chemistry and forensic science. So I did the science background. That's as close as I could get at the time to
Okay.
forensics.
Okay.
Um,
So that
so
was a
we were,
4 year. I'm sorry, keep going.
yeah, sorry, we require a 4-year bachelor's degree in criminal justice or science field.
Okay.
And it looks really good to have an internship. So everybody, if you're not in the like college, like the high school and middle school people, if you find your local police department or something to that nature that take volunteers, we're always taking volunteers so we can teach you things. So
Ah,
the more volunteering and the more experience you have, you can say you've been doing it for multiple years before you even start to apply for a job.
okay. So that was a question by Gavin in Yakima Valley. He was asking about if you're under 18, how can you get experience? So let's dig into that for a second because that would be what these students are looking to do. So can they just walk into the police department and say, what are the internship opportunities? Should they come with a resume? Like, how would you suggest they go about it?
Um, Definitely it's multi steps depending on different jurisdictions and what they do there. Like the smaller jurisdictions can probably just throw you in the door right then. But I know we have paperwork and things that have to be filled out. Especially we have an explorers program here where they kind of do everything for police and they get a little bit of forensics in it. But we don't normally have people under 18 that want to come volunteer with us. But, you come in, talk to the supervisor or talk to anybody there that'll, talk to you about forensics and kind of help you get that foot in the door because you could come every day for like a tour kind of thing. And every day we can teach you something different kind of thing. There's workarounds if you're too young to volunteer.
Okay. And when they volunteer, can they go with you to a crime scene?
Unfortunately, no. Volunteers have to stay in office so they
Okay.
can
Okay.
see and they can hear the things we talk about and things like that, but they cannot go with us. Only the interns can go with us.
Okay. All right. That's important to know. But she brought it up without me even asking that they're always looking for students to come in and help. So it seems like it's a great opportunity. There won't be a lot of barriers, just the students' initiative and the school helping to connect. So that's great to know. Jessica Reyna asked, what made you want to go into this career? It seems like you knew even at college that you were interested in the field. What got you excited when you were younger?
I did. So I was one of those people that always wanted to know where ambulances were going. That's what started. I mean, doesn't everybody want to know where an ambulance is going? But
Yes,
I'm
yes.
intrigued by that, but not the medical side of it, more the nosy investigative side of it. And I wound up just meeting the person who was the forensic supervisor in Suffolk because that's where I live. I grew up in Suffolk. And so I came across her one day and had all the questions for her, like, what do you do kind of thing. And when I was like junior, senior in high school, I started talking to her more about her path. Like, where did she go? What did she go for? And things like that. and I started following her footsteps. I really wanted to be a medical examiner, but when I found out that you had to go be a doctor on living people, I decided to follow a different path, which is where I went with crime scene.
Okay. I think this is great. We have so many questions. I'm trying to cover them all here. Natalie from ORCA says, what does a typical work day look like for you?
Um,
Or are they
I'm
all
gonna
different?
every day is different. That's the best part about my job. Like you can come in with a giant to-do list and I'm going to do this and this and this and this. And then when you get in, there's a crime scene waiting and you're like, well, I can't do that now. Like you can have a plan, but be ready for that plan to not take hold because you never know when crime's going to happen. Sometimes we have a whole lot of crime, like sprees happen, people like serial people that continuously do bad things. And then sometimes we have more of a downtime where we can do like our inner office work.
Okay. Okay. Great question here. I hope I'm saying the name right. Zainab or Zainab. To go into the field of forensic science, what major is better, biology, chemistry, or biochemistry? I think I am excited for fingerprint analysis.
Forensics. If you can change that to forensic science,
Forensic science.
that's definitely going to be your best bet because especially with fingerprints, you need to know a little bit of the science behind it, but it's more of a matching game with fingerprints. So honestly, any of those, but just make sure you focus in on forensics and try to talk to like your forensic people near you. Because sometimes people that have forensics degrees and that have internships, they have a little bit more knowledge about forensics, so they can interview a little bit differently than you because you can answer all like the really science questions, but when it comes down to the crime scene questions, they might be able to answer a little bit more.
Okay. And by the way, Sierra D, she also had asked from Oregon Charter Academy. She also asked about a day in the life. So I want to make sure she got credit for that too. Rayshon Dorsey from BCCC asks, what are some skills and qualities that you think people should have if they want to go into this field? Do they need to can't have a weak stomach? They have to be super focused. How would you describe the kind of person who could make it in this job?
Honestly, that is definitely not one of those solid answers that I can give you. I can't even say you have to be a good public speaker because I can teach you how to be a better public speaker for court kind of thing. Like we have training for almost everything. So I'd say open-minded and willing to learn all the time. So once you get the job, if there's always things changing, I love when people come tell me and they're like, hey, I figured out a new way to process for fingerprints. It's amazing because I'm not in school anymore. So I don't get to learn as quickly as people that are learning it currently. So definitely be open-minded. And once you learn something, kind of be ready to change what you know.
Okay. Another really good question from Mr. Dorsey in his class. Thank you. How do you ensure the integrity and chain of custody of evidence throughout the analysis process?
That is a great question. So on the scene, we keep custody of it every time, whether we put the evidence in our locked cars and we have bins. We have like locked bins in the back of our car and we keep the key with us. It just depends on how we feel about locking it up. So it's always in our possession. And then when we come back to the office, then we package it and make sure if any other further processing needs to be done. We have temporary lockers. If we have more processing that needs to be done, we put the evidence in a temporary locker, which has a key, and only you have the key. So if you lose the key, it's no good. But so we have a key to it and you keep that key on your person at all times. And then when you're done with that, we put it in our property and evidence, which is the place that holds all the evidence that anyone collects until court takes it or until it's disposed of. And that is through a locker. That's a one-way locker. So once you put it in that locker, the only people that can get it out is your property and evidence people. And then you check it out. Our property and evidence person is the one that actually takes the evidence to the lab if there's further analysis that we can't do here. And it's a lady with us and she keeps the custody of that. And we have tags that have chain of custody. So every time someone else touches it, they write chain of custody on it. Or we have a computer program that watches the chain of custody too. So when it's checked out that they mark it in the computer program.
And as an extension of that question, help us understand your team. Like, who else is on your team that you interact with? Because there are other job titles and jobs that students may not even know are jobs besides yours, which brought them here today. So who is sort of around you week over week?
Absolutely. So many people. We have so many, so many different jobs. So in Suffolk, I said we do the digital, we do all the things that I named. In certain jurisdictions, those are all separate. So you can go be a fingerprint examiner and not touch crime scenes if you don't want to in some places. Some places have digital examiners who do phones, who do computers and things like that. We just happen to do it all ourselves here. But we have all the police officers here that we come in contact with. We have detectives who are promoted police officers kind of thing. We have people in central files that they deal with the public a lot more. So people that come in that need reports and things ran and stuff like that. We have transcriptionists, people that sit all day long and listen to interviews and they type it out for court. We have an analyst, so people that run numbers. So if you're more of a number person, there's a job for you on that. Let's see, we have a grant writer. We have someone who watches out for grants for us because we can't afford everything on our own, so we have to find grants for it. We have a couple other we have dispatch people. Dispatch, can't forget about dispatch. They're the ones that kind of tell us where to go, and they take the calls from the people out in the world and send us to their houses or wherever the crime happened to.
That's great. We really want students to know that there are so many jobs out there, and they're not always easy to find unless you were to spend time in an office like yours, and then they would start to see. So that's what these webinars are about. We have so many good questions, and I want to hit a few more. Ken from Wayne State says, is it better to do a master's in forensic science or just finish a bachelor's and just go get experience? Master's
Oof.
or just start working?
That's tough. If you can start working, I suggest start working. You can always get your master's as you're working. Two of my techs are currently going to get their master's degrees now. They've been techs with me for about 3 years. And they've decided that they wanted to go back to get their master's. It depends on what you want to do. And if crime scenes definitely at the top of your list for things you want to do, you don't need your master's for it. But as you get into crime scene, you might decide that there's things that you like better than other things and that you want to do more of the background stuff versus the actual documentation of crime scene. And then you can go focus more on that on your master's versus getting just a general crime scene one.
Okay. There you go, Ken. There's your answer. As best as she could say it. Natalie says, and hopefully you'll know this acronym, Mary, how important is the FEPAC accreditation? Are you familiar with FEPAC?
FEPAC, yeah.
FEPAC, what is that? You know what that stands for by chance? Forensics something?
You're going to put me on the spot.
If you don't know, that's okay. But she's asking about, do you need that or is that a preference in hiring?
Sorry, say that again.
Is having that accreditation, a FEPAC accreditation, is that helpful when in the hiring process?
For your school, we don't look at that and be like, oh, your school wasn't FEPAC accredited. We're not going to hire you. Okay. It comes down to your paperwork, how you applied for the job. And then if you get through that first application, which everything goes through our HR department. And so once it pushes through them, then it comes to my desk. And so if you have the internship, if you have the paperwork that we're looking for, and then you get the actual interview, it's all about the interview.
All right. Well, let's talk about the interview, because we love to dive into communication skill topics. What would say to you a great interview? What does the person do across the table from you to show up for that interview? What do you want to see?
I definitely want to see somebody that is, put together. If you have longer hair, make sure it's out of your face. Make sure you're dressed in what I would say court clothes. So, dress pants and a blazer.
Clothes. Like that.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want to come in here showing too much skin anywhere. Guys or girls, you want to be very professional looking, like you've done it before. and then come in just ready to answer questions. On our end, it's about forensics. So we base our questions on forensics to the way you answer your questions for know how to take pictures with a camera, know how to process for fingerprints, all the different things that we would do on a crime scene. We kind of ask questions that touch base on that because okay, maybe you don't have the best strengths or weaknesses that a lot of people do ask. Like, we can always work on that. So we try to find people that are more forensically knowledgeable that we can just mold into working with us.
What if the person came in and had been reading the newspaper, they knew about some recent crimes in Suffolk, they were asking questions about cases you may have already dealt with? What would it say to you if they already knew a little bit about your department?
That's great. You definitely want to know about the department that you're applying for. That's one of our questions we always ask, like, why?
Whoop. Hopefully she'll come back. What she was probably, oh, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, you froze, but keep talking. Oh, there you are. Can you hear me? Well, hopefully she'll come back in. But what she was about to say, I'm imagining, is she's going to say, why are you interested in our police department? And you need to be able to answer that with specifics about their department, because they want to know why you want to work with them, not just policing in general or forensics in general. And so that is a critical part of the interview, is being ready to talk about them. I think we just may have lost her. So here we go. Mary, are you there?
I'm here. I think we're having some technical difficulties.
Okay. All right. Here, keep your okay, can you hear me now? Try, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Let's try to get to a couple more
Can you
questions.
Hear me?
Yeah. I think you can turn your video off, actually. It might help with the connection. And we'll just finish out with a couple more questions. And we got through a lot of it, which was good. If you can hear me, Luna asks, what's the difference between a forensic technician and a forensic sculptor?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Did you hear my question? A forensic technician or a forensic sculptor?
I'm not sure what a forensic sculptor is. That's a new one to me. I have not.
All right. Then we'll move on. We have Myron asked, will a copy of this session be available? Yes, we will put this on YouTube. We will email the recording tomorrow as well, on Thursday. So look out for the recording. Sophia in Minnesota, is there a forensic entomology professional in your office, or forensic pathology?
Oh, that's a great question. I do have someone currently working on forensic entomology in my office. She's waiting on her test results as we speak. So hopefully we'll know soon where she's at with that. And then what was the second one?
Forensic pathology.
Pathologist?
Yes, pathologist.
So we have a medical examiner. That's the people at the medical examiner's office. So we do not have pathologists here.
Okay. There's a really interesting question from Tracy Wright. Do you come across scenes that look like they've been covered up or tampered with?
Always tampered.
Okay. How so? How do you know if it's been tampered with?
People are always
Go ahead.
People are always trying to hide things. Can you hear me still?
Yes, I can. Keep going. People are trying to hide things.
So with the tampering, they don't necessarily think about it, I don't think, right away. But so we've had some burglaries where people are trying to gather like insurance money for things that were not stolen and they said they were stolen. So you find them tucked under their bed.
Okay.
People always try to hide. They try to hide weapons. So if we have a shooting, they try to hide their weapons, and then we have to go searching for that.
Okay.
Sometimes up burglaries, they don't mean to, so people go into their house before they actually realize that their house had been broken into. They clean it up, so that's not like it's not necessarily they didn't do it on purpose, but it's happened.
Okay.
People wipe phones. That's more of the crime you deal with.
Wiping phones. So as if they had not touched the phone.
Yeah.
Okay. Tracy's class and
Yeah.
also
Yeah. So I would.
go ahead. Also, Tracy's class and
No, you're good. Go
Sierra,
ahead.
a couple of different people have asked if you're starting out, like, early in your career, first couple years, what is a salary you can expect? At least where you are in your part of the country, what's like a starting salary for this job?
Our starting salary is around 40,000
Okay.
for starting out just out of school, kind of trainee type thing. And each city has their own starting salary, but we're all kind of within a couple thousand around the same.
Okay.
Office definitely more, but as crime scene, we're about 40,000.
Okay. We're gonna start to wrap up here. And good question from Ms. Burdett's class in Covington. What's the craziest scene you've worked? I guess keep it PG, but what's the craziest scene you've seen?
Oh my, that is definitely a loaded question, because what's crazy to one person is not
Okay,
crazy
fair.
to else. And I've been doing this for almost 15 years, so I've seen
Seen a
so
lot.
much. Yeah, I've seen so much stuff.
What
So I
what's
can't.
one
That one's
what's one that comes to mind? Like what's a memorable one that you think about?
we're definitely focusing on vehicle crimes right now.
Okay.
Getting the information from the infotainment center of vehicles and being able to place vehicles in the scene of the crime. So any sort of those. When
Okay.
someone steals a car and then leaves it somewhere and steals another car, kind of thing, and we can match all the cars up to the same person.
Okay.
I'll go with that. That's the best PG rated one I can
That's
give you.
good. I appreciate I know that was a little on the spot. Appreciate that. Hang tight one second, Mary. I want to wrap up with the students and teachers, and we'll have sort of your final words of wisdom for this career. So 1 second. For those of you who joined a little late, I want to reiterate that if you like these conversations and you would like more of them, especially to finish out your year, we have a free offer to access our Aspire Career Exploration Video Library. It's over 250 video clips, the best moments from all the people we've talked to in our webinar series. You can see all the jobs here across different pathways, different jobs, people all over the country, all over the world. And if you would like this giant library of video clips, 1 to 2 minute clips, the best moments from all of our conversations, it lives on a website, but you can get to it through Canvas, through Schoology, Google Classroom, Teams, whatever you've got. If you would like it, we'd love to give it to you the rest of the year, no cost. We want you to use it. It's a newer resource for us. We love the feedback. So I'll put it in the chat one more time. Please go to that link in the chat. Teachers, request a short meeting with our team. We will give you Aspire in your learning management system, and you'll have access to all kinds of videos and discussion questions to carry you through the end of the year and into the summer. If you have questions about it, ask it in the chat, but please grab that link and get Aspire from us, our final offer before the school year is out. Mary, if you can still hear me, I'll have you give your final sort of words of wisdom or pieces of advice for students who are thinking about this career, kind of where you sat way back when in high school. What would you say?
Follow your dreams. Honestly, that's the biggest one I have. If you get into this and
Oh, you there? Well, we may have to live with the follow your dreams. Hands up if you understand what follow your dreams means. Because I'm sure she had something else brilliant to say on the heels of that. We may not know. but she said she was interested in this field from a young age. And so what did she do? She went and she found the person in charge. She asked how to get involved. She studied it in college. She's worked in it for 15 years. You know, we all can change paths in our lives, but she knew what she wanted to do and she stayed with it. And I think that's, if you know who you are and you know what you like, you just go after it. Do we have any students in here who are interested in becoming an intern like she suggested? Teachers coming in the chat. Anybody here going to go out now and pursue and just knock on that door and say, hey, can I shadow? Can I intern? I love that she said how easy it is to do, and they're looking for people to help them. So this is an open invitation to jump right in. And we don't hear that all the time. It's usually there's a little bit of a vetting process, but she's like, come on, we need you. So I hope that you really heard that and that you'll take that into consideration where you live. Let's try one more time. Mary, are you back?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Any final words? I sort of extended your follow your dreams. Anything you want to add on to that?
I heard you did a great job.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know where you were totally gone.
Just
Anything
that
else?
if you decide that crime scene is for you, and when you get into crime scene, if it's not for you, just remember there's so many other things that you can do. I always tell everybody I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do when I grow up. I love crime scenes, but there's always other things you can add on to it.
Great. That's great. Well, Mary, I appreciate you staying with us despite the technical issues. We made it happen and we got some great information to the students. We'll put this on YouTube. Jenny, thank you. Thank you to all the teachers and students for being here and those who will watch on the recording. We appreciate you and we hope we see you next school year for our Dream Job series.